Nick Ferrari at Breakfast with Tom Swarbrick on LBC.
Morning, 7:51 is the time. Back to your calls in a few moments' time. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Gillian Keegan, the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills, Conservative MP for Chichester. Lovely to have you on the programme, Gillian. Thank you for coming on. £7 million then, a fund launched to support more flexible apprenticeship opportunities in sector, including the creative industries, digital and construction. Are you worried that too many young people are going to university?
No, but I'm worried. I'm conscious of making sure that young people have many other options as well. So apprenticeships are a great alternative. They go right the way up to master's level, so you can actually do your degree whilst you're also learning as well, if that's the route you want to take. And what we're trying to do is make sure that apprenticeships work for all sectors. Obviously, the creative industries is a very attractive sector, but because they work on project basis and film by film or creative, whatever it is they're doing, they normally don't have the ability to employ somebody for a full year in one place. So what we're trying to do is to still, ensure there's access to those industries, but make sure that we can work in a more flexible way. So that's why we've introduced this fund, and that'll be good for unlocking apprenticeships in many different industries.
£7 million. How many apprenticeships do these parts of the economy have to create for that money?
Well, we haven't set it up that way. We've set it up so that we can provide a body, an agency who can organise the sector so that they can employ the person, and then they can organise the various work experience and
so what
training
does the £7
for
million
the
quid
person.
do? It doesn't help provide the place, it does what?
It helps provide the agency, as it were, somebody. So in the case of the creative industries, a company called Screen Skills, there's been the DCMS have put money into it, Netflix, Warner Brothers, many others in the sector. And they put money in it so that they can employ the apprentices, and they then use loan the apprentices out, as it were,
But do you know how many more
companies.
apprentices, which I think are fantastic, by the way. I think it's a great thing. I think my kids will end up doing apprenticeships if they're not going to university, because frankly I think universities have a monopoly on young people's futures at the moment. But do you know how many apprenticeship places you're going to get for £7 million?
It's not limited by that. Yeah, no, it's not limited by that. So it's basically, once the agency's set up, then they will obviously get income in as well, because they'll be, the apprentice, whoever's employing the apprentice for a 3-month period, for example, will pay money back. So it's going to be a sustainable model. So it will continue once it's set up. So this is to set up those agencies so that they can actually put in place a system that works, where you've got an industry that doesn't employ people full-time, employs people on a temporary basis or project basis. So that's the idea. So it's not limited to numbers. Once we set it up, it'll be sustainable, and we hope there'll be many apprentices that go through it. I mean, right now in the creative industries, for example, there's 30,000 job shortages. There's skills shortage across many different skills, and what they want to do is reach young people all across the country, more diverse young people as well, and apprenticeships they identify are a fantastic way to do that.
We wait to see if there's a good return on that money. And when it comes to the clearing up of some confusion around the travel list, can you confirm that the Amber Watch list is now dead?
Well, I mean, the Amber Watch list was never announced, though. So there's been a lot of speculation, obviously, about what will be put in place. So it was
rubbish in the papers, was it? The government never agreed this at a COVID.
I would never say there's rubbish in the papers. I'm a politician, but I guess there is speculation sometimes in the papers. But the Transport Secretary actually will be setting out. It's his 3-week review on Thursday, so that's when he'll be setting out. The
but
travel.
Was this agreed by ministers, as papers have been reporting, or did they get that wrong?
We have been considering, what we're trying to do is tread this very careful balance, very difficult balance between opening up travel and keeping the country safe from new variants. And as we try to do that, obviously we're explored all options and looked at the balance between what's going to keep people safe. Of course, everything's discussed. We're exploring all options because there's no playbook for any of this.
Understood.
But the most important thing when we're designing a system, and where we came down on in the end, is to make sure that the system is simple enough for people to understand, because then adherence will be much greater.
Does that mean the idea of ditching the Amber list altogether is being discussed as a way of simplifying?
Well, the Transport Secretary, of course, will be looking at all of these things.
So he's looking at it.
No, they're continually going to look at countries and look at, what is safe and how we can best navigate our way between countries, their vaccination rate, their case rates, and most importantly, the impacts of new variants. We've all seen ourselves how new variants can knock us for six as well. We had Christmas very much curtailed by the Alpha variant. We had our own unlocking very delayed by a month because of the Delta variant. New variants can come up and, they have a massive impact. So we're trying to make sure that we minimise that as much as we possibly can, whilst opening up our economy and our country and travel.
One of the impacts of the difficulty around these travel rules seems like the chief of the Joint Biosecurity Centre has resigned, Claire Gardner. Can you confirm that she has indeed quit her post?
Yes, I believe that she has. I don't have any responsibility for that area.
No, I know.
But, all of these things, there's a group of experts who are basically there that are looking at data, analysing data, and then giving advice to the government. And so I guess they'll be looking for a new chair.
Is there any understanding of why Claire Gardner has quit her job?
I don't have any understanding at all of that, no. I've only heard what you've heard.
Let me ask you about then the Chancellor suggesting that it's good for people in their jobs to get back to the office. Is the government telling people to go back to work in the office now?
No. Well, all we're saying is it's safe to go back to the office, and we've urged businesses to use the summer to be cautious and to start to ramp up those people that will go back to the office. But of course, businesses will decide. We're not telling them what to do. They'll decide between flexible working and how many people go back to the office.
So the government doesn't have a view unlike last year?
Last year we did have a view, which was it was not safe to go to the office, and we were very much trying to...
That's not what the headlines were suggesting. The headlines were saying that the Chancellor was very much banging the drum on getting people back to the office last summer.
Well, yes, but now we're double vaccinated. We're seeing case rates go down. We've opened up the economy. The case rates are still going down. It's different now. People are travelling and we're not seeing case rates go up, etc. So, there was a time in the pandemic when we basically said work from home. We're now saying that time has gone. It's safe to go back to the office. Use the summer to ramp up that as it's going to be. Of course, there'll be flexible working in the future as well, but it's very much safe to go back to the office. And that's new. That is new as part of the unlocking that happened, or the restrictions that were lifted just 2 weeks ago.
And you mentioned the very good news, the data that suggests that cases and hospital admissions are falling. Does that mean that we are, to your mind, to the government's mind, we are now past the peak of this third wave? That's how it appears.
Well, I guess we all look at the data with hope, but we've seen how this virus can turn at several points. It very much obviously we've got many people double vaccinated, more people we get double vaccinated, which is why we've got this August the 16th date to say everybody get vaccinated, and of course that gives young people a chance to get double vaccinated as well.
But is there a health justification?
It looks very, very promising.
Absolutely, it looks fantastic. Is there therefore a health justification for the mandation of things like vaccine passports at nightclubs for those who haven't been double jabbed if hospital admissions and case numbers are falling?
Well, right now we've said there will be in those nightclubs, there will be from the end of September, there will be vaccine passports. Of course, nightclubs have always been, one of the areas that's largely of concern because there's lots of people in. It's indoors largely, closed spaces, etc. Impossible to follow any of the rules that we've had in place. So what we've said is, for those environments, we are advising double vaccinate, or we're requiring double vaccination before you enter. But of course, if everybody ends up double vaccinated, then
what are the health reasons for doing that? If cases and hospitalisations are falling as they are, which is, as you say, is fantastic news. On what health grounds is that being introduced?
Well, because we want to keep them falling, and we know that these things do offer risk as well. I mean, we know this. Vaccines aren't perfect, and we also know the virus is still there, and we still do have cases of the Delta variant. So the health grounds are, we have been cautious. We're always being cautious all along. We've been cautious, and what we're saying is that environment in particular, and maybe some others. There's some others under review. We are saying, double
Pubs?
vaccination. No, I think it's more crowd where there's lots of crowds of people. So a large nightclub, maybe a large venue where there's lots of people and it's indoors.
So it won't be
they're
for
the
pubs?
ones that are under review. No, I don't think. I don't think there's a consideration at the moment. But of course, we are. We take this virus as we find it, right? We are trying always to get ahead of it. The vaccine program's been massively successful. But we do always have to look at what's happening. And of course, if we have a beta variant or any other variants, which we're trying to minimise the risk of through our cautious approach to travel, then of course we'll have to take actions.
I'm grateful for your time. Have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Gillian Keegan. You're the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills, Conservative MP for Chichester. LBC, Tom Swarbrick in for Nick Ferrari. The news at 8 is next.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.